This is Bow TV.
Welcome back to Bow News Network. I'm Wade with Bow TV, and we're taking a closer look at what's actually occurring with Hurricane Ida as it makes its way towards the New Orleans area. If you're new to this channel, please by all means go ahead, smash that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for the latest notifications as our continuing coverage of Hurricane Ida as it makes its way towards Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Lafayette area. So here we are with the GOS-16 infrared satellite imagery, and we're taking a closer look. We can see those significant outer rain bands actually making their way onshore. They're extending all the way from almost the tip of the region of Louisiana coastline all the way down to the Keys. This hurricane is quite significant in that it's actually strengthening right now. There's a rapid intensification that has begun, and we anticipate that this will continue to occur throughout the night into 1, 2, 3 a.m. on going into tomorrow. As we see with this system, it's actually been increasing in speed. It's now 105 miles per hour, a strong category 2 hurricane. The pressure has actually dropped to 969 millibars, and with that said, we had anticipated that with the drop in pressure we would actually see an intensification, and sure enough, with very limited or almost non-existent shear and more than adequate oceanic heat energy to convert into substantial kinetic energy for this storm to feed upon, it is just going to continue to intensify. The recent reports from the National Hurricane Center suggest that this might actually impact the region as a Category 5 hurricane, and as you know, there are only 5 categories at this particular time, so we're looking at potentially between 140 145 miles per an hour or greater. Keep in mind that with these types of hurricanes, a significant amount of tornado activity usually accompanies this kind of significant weather event, and that, with that said, we're looking at a different scale of potential destruction. If you remember with Katrina, it had been spotted that potentially there were about 59. There were actually 59 tornadoes that touched down with Katrina, and we are actually around 16 years since that actually occurred. So now we're actually facing Hurricane Ida, which is potentially going to be making impact in the region of Louisiana, the Louisiana coastline, but with far-reaching effects, possibly reaching as far as the Texas-Louisiana border, all the way impacting the region with rainfall to the Florida Panhandle. So we're taking a closer look at this system. We're actually watching the Doppler radar, and we can actually see some of these rain bands actually coming into scope into our radar imagery, and we are interested in seeing what's actually happening with continuing coverage as we take a look at this massive hurricane as it makes its way inland. Most likely is going to be impacting the region near Huamo along the Louisiana coastline, and of course it will move inland and have direct impact on the cities of Lafayette as well as Baton Rouge. But New Orleans, which is already flood prone, even to the extent where the levees have been fortified over the past few years. However, with a Category 4 hurricane, which is anticipated that will have impact, as it is actually on the front right quadrant of the storm, which is considered to be the dirty side of the storm, as far as the most significant amount of destructive power of the hurricane. So that is one of the reasons why we wanted to make sure that we brought this continuing coverage to residents. As you can see, these are outer thunderstorms that are making their way in, and the window of call to action to actually get out of the region of Louisiana is tightly dwindling down at this particular time. So the hourglass is actually ticking as far as the window of time that you will have if you have not heeded to taken course with the required mandatory evacuations to get out of the region. This is going to be a category 4, possibly hurricane, impacting the region of Lafayette, Baton Rouge, Louisiana, the coastline there, Abbeville, and we anticipate far-reaching effects that will impact with tropical storm winds possibly felt as far to the west as Lake Charles and Beaumont, and as far east as Mobile, Alabama, and Pensacola. So we just want to make sure that we got this information out to our subscribers, and by all means hit that like button so more people on YouTube and Facebook can actually reach out and get this information, especially those that are going to be impacted by this storm, friends, family who may be impacted by the storm as it makes its way in. But as we mentioned earlier, this system is so far-reaching that it's actually you can see on the infrared imagery that it's actually impacting all the way down. You see those outer squalls all the way down to the Keys, and we do see those outer bands. The most important thing to remember is that, as we mentioned, on the front right quadrant of this storm is going to be the most significant, most powerful destructive forces of the hurricane. Not to say that any other quadrant is not going to be as devastating, but do keep in mind, based on that that counterclockwise cyclonic rotation of this storm, that the front and the front right are most notable for the most destruction. Let's take a look at our timeline here as we go forward into the night. We are looking at going into, at this particular time, it's about 175 nautical miles south-southeast of the mouth of the Mississippi River. National Hurricane Center is showing that it's actually coming in at about 105 miles per hour. Maximum sustained winds, of course, there are gusts that are possibly in the range of 110, 115 miles per hour. This is a very, very powerful hurricane, and we anticipate there will be massive intensification between now and early morning of Sunday, as it actually makes its way further and further into that warm Gulf. Keep in mind the sea surface temperatures of the Gulf of Mexico are hovering around 85, 86, 87 degrees Fahrenheit, and that is more than enough to convert that very warm oceanic heat energy into the type of substantial kinetic energy and kinetic power that this hurricane needs in order to continue to intensify. The pressure will continue to fall a bit. The eye wall will continue to reconstruct and reorganize and intensify even further, with tropical force winds and hurricane force winds extending and radiating far out from the center of the actual storm itself. So we do want to make sure that we got this information out to you. So we're looking at 1 p.m., possible 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. On Sunday, with a major hurricane coming on land in the region. Also, we want to take a look at potential rainfall here. As we go to the rainfall, we can actually see that possible rainfall is suggested that just to the west of New Orleans, concentrated rainfall of 15 to 20 inches of rainfall. Now, this area has been saturated with a lot of inches of rainfall in the past few weeks. So this hurricane poses a more serious threat of flash flooding and significant flooding risk in the region of Lake Charles, in the region of all the way across to the border of Mississippi and Alabama, for the simple reason that this entire region has been receiving a significant amount of rainfall over the past few days. With respect to storm surge, this is actually what the National Hurricane Center is proposing, that within the immediate path of this storm, just to the west of the mouth of the Mississippi River, we anticipate that there'll be a 10 to 15 foot storm surge, and also you can expect far-reaching to Mobile Bay, possibly 2 to 7 feet of rainfall of storm surge, and then as far as Sabine Pass, that's another 2 to 4 feet. So this system is going to not only affect the coastline, but also Lake Pontchartrain is going to possibly have surge up to 5 to 10 feet as it makes its way, as this system makes its way in. Whether it's to the little bit to the left or to the right, this system is going to be bringing a severe storm surge risk, especially to this low-lying, flood-prone region of the Louisiana, Mississippi coastline. So we're definitely on guard here. As far as the evacuations are concerned, just taking a closer look at the mammoth size of this hurricane. Now, keep in mind that this is most likely going to be impacting the region as a Category 4, substantial rainfall, substantial storm surge. So if you happen to be residing on the coastline and you're hoping that even if your house was recently raised as a result of any kinds of flood improvement or any kind of home improvement, and your home was elevated as a result of trying to respond to any climate change or also storm threats, then this hurricane is a different type of monster. Even if your home was reserved, that is absolutely no excuse. Even if your home has been elevated, that's actually no excuse for you to actually try to ride out the storm, simply because it is an extremely dangerous hurricane with a potential of serious destruction to small residents. Let's not even think about the destruction to possible mobile homes and sheds, or any kind of small structures that are attached to residential housing. And then the residential housing itself should anticipate that the roofs of homes are going to be flying debris, most likely destroyed as a result of this hurricane, Category 4, potentially Category 5, just before landfall. So this is just to give you a little bit of information as far as the severe power of this storm. We are seeing some really strong convection around the center of the hurricane, and as you can see, those outer bands extend all the way down to Key West. And as far as the rapid intensification, it has begun, and we anticipate that the maximum sustained winds will be actually creeping up steadily as it makes its way further into the Gulf of Mexico, in the region, heading towards impact for the Louisiana coastline. As far as the main concern right now would be backup generators for hospitals. That has been a major concern, especially with the overflow of patients as a result of the pandemic for hospitals in the region of Louisiana, which is one of the hardest hit areas in this wave. And whether or not these generators are on the ground level or they've been elevated to the rooftop poses a significant risk. So that is one of the main concerns as far as backup generator power, should and when power is lost in this region. In many of the areas, as this storm makes its way in, should consider to be uninhabitable for many weeks, simply because of the loss of power. Not only will power lines be down, but in many cases the poles will be removed from the ground by the forces of the wind. So that is going to impede the restoration of any kind of power to the region, especially along the coastline, especially along the towns on the inline area. If we take a look further at the Doppler radar, we can see exactly, we anticipate significant damage to the regions of just east of New Orleans, such as like Gulfport. Also, we anticipate that this is going to be very devastating for, even as a hurricane moves inland, it will be downgraded. But keep in mind, we're downgrading from winds possibly at 140 miles an hour down to possibly 100 or 90 miles per hour. That is still a very strong Category 1 level hurricane that we're talking about, even if the winds are 90 miles per hour, 85 miles per hour, still a very strong hurricane. It will remain, it will keep most of its structure as it moves across this low-lying land. There's not mountainous that will prevent it from that will actually impede it disintegrating very, very quickly. So there's going to be a lot of down power lines, loss of utilities, possibly loss of running water in the region. So the window of time as far as evacuation is slowly dwindling at this particular time. So we just wanted to make sure that we got this information out. You can see these outer rain bands. Eventually these outer rain bands are going to be extending further and further into the city of New Orleans and Baton Rouge and Lafayette within a few hours. And we'll continue to monitor the Doppler radar imagery and bring you updates as we prepare for landfall of this major hurricane. But one of the things that you want to remember is that eventually the weather is going to start decaying well before the landfall of this storm. And we're actually looking at somewhere around Houma, just west of New Orleans, where it will actually make landfall and then venture in. Directly in line to that would be the city of Baton Rouge, and then further inland, of course, Lafayette will start receiving significant hurricane force winds, being that it's very, very close to Baton Rouge. So we're going to continue to monitor this storm. Just keep in mind, storm surge, the power of flowing water is very significant. As the system moves in, please take heed, and please make sure that you actually be observant of any kind of evacuation area, evacuation orders, mandatory evacuation orders, especially with this storm moving in. This area has been battered by many powerful hurricanes and tropical storms in the past, and in many cases, many of the cities along this coastline are still recovering from previous storms in the 2020 hurricane season. So please make sure that you take heed of what's actually going to be occurring. Just one more look at anticipated rainfall. We see anticipated rainfall of 15 to 20 inches just west of New Orleans, and then extending out to about Lake Charles to New Orleans. We're looking at 6 to 10 inches of rain, and then extending out to there, possibly to the just to the border of Louisiana and Texas, to Mobile, Alabama. We're looking at possibly 4 to 6 inches of rain in that region. So this is definitely going to be producing a significant amount of rain, even as it moves inland into Jackson, towards Jackson, Mississippi, Memphis, Tennessee. Keep in mind that is West Tennessee, which was severely impacted by heavy floods only a few days ago, and they're still trying to recover. So this is going to impact them even more, and significantly impede their recovery process from that severe event that led to many casualties. So we're going to continue to watch this system as it makes its way towards the continental United States. Definitely stay with Bao News Network. We will continue to bring the latest coverage in regards to Hurricane Ida as it makes its way inland, heading towards New Orleans, with winds of about 105 miles per hour, Category 2. We anticipate it being upgraded to Category 3 momentarily throughout the night into the early morning Sunday. with impact of landfall around midday 1 p.m. 2 p.m. on Sunday. So please stay safe. We are definitely praying for all of the residents in this area. Hopefully many of them have actually taken up on the mandatory evacuations and not choosing to buckle down and button down and try to ride the storm out. This is going to be Category 4 or Category 5 hurricane. It's not something that you want to play around with. Once the pressure starts to increase in any kind of residential buildings, then the first thing to go will be the roof. And once the roof is gone, then you're going to be completely exposed to the elements. So, and that is a common trait of hurricanes, especially if it's coupled with tornado activity, which is just going to be very, very intense and focused level of destruction in the region. And tornadoes can be anticipated. Many tornadoes can be anticipated with Hurricane Ida, a Category 4 or Category 5 hurricane, to be making impact in the region. So thank you for watching Bound News Network. Please stay tuned for the more coverage of Hurricane Ida, more Doppler radar imagery, as well as infrared imagery as the system makes its way towards New Orleans, Louisiana region, Lafayette, Baton Rouge. May God be with everyone. Thank you.